All right, shalom, shalom, family. It's good to be back again. Want to give all praise first and foremost to Yahuwah, B'Hashem, Yahushua HaMashiach. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a couple of extra witnesses. For those of us keeping the lunar solar Sabbath, the lunar solar calendar, things can get a little unbelievable, if I should say, if we just continue to prove scripture after scripture after scripture and line upon line, and people still don't believe. Some people need a little extra encouragement, a little extra witnesses. So, according to Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20, it says, "To the Torah and to the witness, if they do not speak according to this word, it is because they have no daybreak." So that's what we've been trying to do. Now, I have a video up on when does a day begin, and I put quite a few scriptures in that video, and there's plenty of videos online proving the lunar solar Sabbath. But now I want to get some first century witnesses as to what kind of calendar they were keeping at that time. And so today I'm going to be presenting you with information from Josephus. This is the complete works, so I do have the physical book itself, but I also have a PDF download, and I also have a copy on eSword, and that's what I'm going to show you guys today so that you can all find this for yourselves. I'm going to go through the eSword module, show you how to download this and how to figure out a few references. So let's get to it. Shalom. Okay, so here we have the eSword module. I have all my Bibles up here. These are fantastic resources that help you find different families of manuscripts that can help. It's not just about the Masoretic text, as many of you know. We got the Septuagint and so many others. But I want to show you today is how to download this Josephus module. You want to go up here to download, go to reference books, and when that pops up, you'll see right here, I already have it downloaded, installed. It says Antiquities of the Jews, Flavius Josephus. And this is in the free category, so you don't have to pay for this one. And if you scroll down a little bit further, we also have Wars of the Jews, Flavius Josephus. Now, according to my understanding, Wars of the Jews was written first, and then he made Antiquities of the Jews. So once you download those two books, eSword will tell you to restart, and after you restart, you want to go up here to where you see these three different colored books. This is reference library. You want to click on that. Okay, so once you open up the reference library, you'll have the first thing presented, which I have here is the Ante-Nicene Fathers. But we go up to the top menu, we'll see here Antiquities of the Jews, Flavius Josephus. So we can go ahead and click on that. And the first reference that I have is 2.14.6. Now, what those mean is book 2 is the first reference, dot 14 is the chapter, and then dot 6 would be the paragraph. So that's what we do here. Let me scroll up to paragraph 6 and we'll get that started. We'll just read right from the beginning. But when Elohim has signified that with one plague he would compel the Egyptians to let the Hebrews go, he commanded Moses to tell the people that they should have a sacrifice ready, and they should prepare themselves on the 10th day of the month, Xanthicus, against the 14th. Now note this, guys, which month is called by the Egyptians Parmuth, Nisan by the Hebrews, but the Macedonians call it Xanthicus. So he is writing to a Macedonian audience. The month Xanthicus is the name that they give it. And we'll get back to that, but let's continue on. And that he should carry the Hebrews with all they had. Accordingly, he having got the Hebrews ready for their departure, and having sorted the people into tribes, he kept them together in one place. But when the 14th day was come, and all were ready to depart, they offered the sacrifice and purified their houses with the blood, using bunches of hyssop for that purpose. And when they had supped, they burnt the remainder of the flesh as just ready to depart. Now, a few things that I want to point out here is that according to the commandment in Exodus chapter 12, they were supposed to have picked the lamb on the 10th day, kept it until the 14th, and then the 14th at evening is when they were to sacrifice. Now, it says that once they had offered the sacrifice, they purified their houses with the blood, right? So that's with the blood of the sacrifice, using the bunches of hyssop for that purpose. And when they had supped, they burnt the remainder of the flesh as just ready to depart. That's very important. So this took place in the evening time. Once it was already night, the sun had already gone down. So let's continue. Whence it is that we do still offer this sacrifice in like manner to this day, and call this festival Pashka, which signifies the feast of the Passover. Because on that day, Elohim passed us over and sent the plague upon the Egyptians, for the destruction of the firstborn came upon the Egyptians that night, so that many of the Egyptians who lived near the king's palace persuaded Pharaoh to let the Hebrews go. Now this is so incredible because we have to dissect this very carefully. The day that they did this was the 14th day, right? According to Josephus and according to the scriptures, against the 14th. Now, the thing is, it says that once they had supped, the sun had gone down. It says that that night, according to scripture, is when the plague came in the middle of the night. But it says that day is the 14th. So the evening is still a part of the daytime portion. Okay? And we'll see way more evidence on top of this. Another thing I wanted to point out is, for those of you interested in looking at the calendars more, it says that the Egyptians call this month Partmuth, the Hebrews Nisan, and the Macedonians call it Xanthicus. Well, would that imply that the Egyptians and the Greeks were keeping the same type of lunar month? Well, let's see. If you go down to Egyptian calendar in Wikipedia, and I mean, you don't really want to trust Wikipedia for everything, but let's just see what they have to say. This highlighted portion right here, the Egyptians appear to have used a purely lunar calendar prior to the establishment of the solar civil calendar, in which each month began on the morning when the waning crescent moon could no longer be seen, until the closing of Egypt's pagan temples under the Byzantines. The lunar calendar continued to be used as a liturgical year of various cults. The month may have been divided into 4 weeks of 7 or 8 days, reflecting each quarter of the lunar phases. So if you know anything about Byzantines, the Byzantines are basically right before the Romans. So when the Hebrews, the Israelites, when they left Egypt, Egypt was still using a lunar calendar at this time. And that's not all, because Josephus says that the Macedonians call it another name. Let's double check real quick. The Macedonians call it Xanthicus. So let's see who the Macedonians are. According to Wikipedia, ancient Macedonians. The Macedonians were an ancient tribe that lived on the alluvial plain around the rivers Haliakmon and Lower Axios in the northeastern part of mainland Greece. Essentially, an ancient Greek people. They gradually expanded from the homeland along the Haliakmon Valley on the northern edge of the Greek world. So, the Macedonians are the ancient Greeks. This is who Josephus is referring to. So let's see what kind of ancient Greek people use for calendars. The Greeks, as early as the time of Homer, appear to have been familiar with the division of the year into 12 lunar months. But no intercalary month, embolimos, or day is mentioned. The 12 months of 354 days, which we know is the lunar year. So I just wanted to bring that up, brothers. You guys can do more information, more research on that, and we'll continue on with Josephus. But just right off the bat, that is really, really awesome. Next reference. Oh, by the way, brothers, you might want to write these references down. That way you can go back and do this whole thing for yourself. Reference Antiquities of the Jews 2.15.2. And here we go. Next quote. They left Egypt in the month Xanthicus on the 15th day of the lunar month. Very clear, very obvious. Moving on. 3.10.2 and 3. So here we have But on the 7th month, which the Macedonians call Hyperberatuos, they make an addition to those already mentioned and sacrifice a bull, a ram, 7 lambs, and a kid of the goats for sins. On the 10th day of the same lunar month, they fast till the evening, and this day they sacrifice a bull and 2 rams and 7 lambs and a kid of the goats for sins. So Josephus is saying that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of that same lunar month is the day of the fast, which we know is the Day of Atonement. Moving on. 3.10.5, so we scroll down just a little bit further, and we can read a little bit more details about Josephus and how he breaks down the years. In the month of Xanthicus, which is called by us Nisan, and is the beginning of our year, in the 14th day of the lunar month, when the sun is in Aries, for in this month it was that we were delivered from bondage under the Egyptians. The law ordained that we should every year slay that sacrifice which I before told you we slew when we came out of Egypt, and which was called the Passover. And so we do celebrate this Passover in companies, leaving nothing of what we sacrifice till the day following. What does day following mean, brothers? It means the next day. The Feast of Unleavened Bread succeeds that of the Passover and falls on the 15th day of the month, which is the next day, and continues 7 days, wherein they feed on unleavened bread, on every one of which days 2 bulls are killed, and 1 ram and 7 lambs. Now these lambs are entirely burnt, besides the kid of the goats, which is added to all the rest for sins, for it is intended as a feast for the priests on every one of those days. Now notice this, but on the 2nd day of unleavened bread, which is the 16th day of the month, they first partake of the fruits of the earth, for before that day they do not touch them. So brothers, Josephus is clearly explaining the way the calendar was broken down back in his days and in our days as well, that we should be using the lunar calendar for all of the feast days, including the Sabbath. Next reference is Antiquities 4.4. So let's go to book 4, chapter 4, and paragraph 6. Then it was that Miriam, the sister of Moses, came to her end, having completed her 40th year since she left Egypt, on the 1st day of the lunar month, Xanthicus. Paragraph 7. This is down at the bottom. So let's go to, and he died on the 1st day of that lunar month, which is called by the Athenians Hekatombeon, by the Macedonians Lois, but by the Hebrews Abba. You see the pattern of how Josephus is trying to accommodate all of his audience, the Greeks, the Gentiles, and his own people who would be reading this. But lunar month, that's how they kept track of time. Last reference that I have for Antiquities is book 4, chapter, that is the last one for Antiquities. My fault, excuse me. Another good reference book that you need to download is Wars of the Jews, Flavius Josephus. Let's see what we find here. In book 4, chapter 9, and paragraph 12. And thus Simon did get possession of Jerusalem in the 3rd year of the war in the month Xanthicus, which is Nisan. So that's just the context. We're going to scroll down. And we'll start here. But having the advantage of situation, and having with erected 4 very large towers aforehand, that their darts might come from higher places, one at the northeast corner of the court, one above the Schistus, the 3rd at another corner over against the lower city, and the last was erected above the top of Pastophoria, where one of the priests stood, of course, and gave a signal beforehand with the trumpet. What did this priest signal? At the beginning of every 7th day, in the evening twilight, as also at the evening when the day was finished. as giving notice to the people when they were to leave off work and when they were to go to work again. Brother, this is so profound. It says that the priest would sound the trumpet as a signal, okay, at the beginning of every seventh day. What's the seventh day? It's the Shabbat. Remember, his audience is also Gentiles. So many times when you look up the word Shabbat in Josephus' writings, you'll see that he refers to it as the seventh day for the Gentiles, but the Hebrews call it Shabbat. And the trumpet was sounded in the evening twilight. Okay, don't be confused by the word evening. This is talking about the morning, because in this hard copy that I have of Josephus, it doesn't use that word. It's morning twilight, which is the Hebrew word boker. That's what we know at the start of the day. So in the evening twilight, the morning twilight, as also at the evening when that day was finished. That is your Sabbath. From the morning to the evening, you celebrate your Sabbath, except for the Day of Atonement. That's the only one. This is just so simple, guys. This is Josephus giving you all of his wisdom and breaking it down for Jew and Gentiles, as if the Jews didn't know this, but the Gentiles would be learning about this. And so this is where we're all coming into the understanding. I hope that this piques your interest and that you download these books, Wars of the Jews and the works of Flavius Josephus. If you can get yourself a hard copy, by all means, please do that. You can find so much more. There's hidden gems in there that just add to the flavor of Scripture. Not to be adding to Scripture, but they just clarify so many things. Josephus is a wonderful resource, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Shalom.